So today we're going to talk about a rulebook that totally changed the world. It was written more than 200 years ago, but its ideas about fairness and order still shape the laws in dozens of countries. So what exactly made it so powerful? I want you to imagine something for a second. What if something totally legal in your town was a major crime just one town over? Or if buying and selling stuff was a complete nightmare because no one could agree on what a pound or a foot even was? It sounds confusing, right? And super unfair? Well, for millions of people, that chaos was just normal life, and it's why a huge change was desperately needed.
You see, before Napoleon came along, France was basically a giant patchwork of different laws. There wasn't one legal system for the whole country. There were hundreds of local rules, old customs, and random royal orders. It made life incredibly complicated and unpredictable for pretty much everyone.
And this system was wildly unequal. Your rights depended entirely on who your parents were. If you were born a noble, the law treated you with kid gloves. But if you were an ordinary person, you'd face way harsher punishments for the exact same crime. The system wasn't built on justice, it was built on your family name.
This whole mess was part of something called the feudal system. And all that really means is that most people were legally stuck. They were tied to the land where they were born and had to work for a powerful lord. You couldn't just pack up and move to find a better opportunity. Your entire life was defined by obligations you could never escape.
So into this chaos steps Napoleon. He knew that if France was going to be a strong, modern country, it needed to get organized. And his solution was, well, it was pretty radical for the time. Create one single, logical law book that would apply to every single citizen, no matter who they were or where they lived.
And boom, in 1804 it happened. The Napoleonic Code, also known as the French Civil Code, became official. This 1 year marks a massive turning point, not just for France, but for the history of law all around the world.
Napoleon had a really clear game plan here. First, unify all those confusing, scattered laws into one. Second, write them down so clearly that a regular person could actually understand their rights. And third, this is the most important one. Make sure those laws applied to everybody, equally.
All right, so what did this new rulebook actually do? Let's dive into some of the biggest and most powerful changes it made. This is where you can really see the old world fading away and a new one taking its place. This was the big one, equality before the law. The code basically said, I don't care what your family name is or how much money you have, you follow the same rules as everyone else. It was the end of legal privilege. Now we have to be clear here, this equality only applied to men. Women, unfortunately, would have to wait a lot longer to get the same legal rights. Before the code, the Catholic Church had a ton of power over people's lives. Napoleon changed that by establishing freedom of religion. This meant you could be Protestant, you could be Jewish, you could be Catholic, and you couldn't be punished for it. It was a huge step toward a more tolerant society. And this idea has a name. It's called being secular. All it really means is separating the government from religious control. For example, the code made marriage a civil contract, not just a religious ceremony. This gave the state, not the church, the final say in legal matters. The code also made it crystal clear that individuals had the right to own property. This was a game changer for the economy. People were suddenly way more willing to buy land or start a business because they knew their property was legally protected and couldn't just be taken away. This really helped the middle class grow and thrive. But, and this is a big but, the code wasn't progressive in every way. When it came to family life, it was actually pretty harsh. The father was given complete authority. He was basically the king of the household. A wife was legally dependent on her husband for almost everything, from selling property to even opening our own bank account.
Now, Napoleon didn't just keep this new rule book for France. As his armies marched across Europe, they took the code with them, and its ideas, well, they started spreading like wildfire.
The influence was just massive. Countries like Belgium and the Netherlands adopted it, it shaped the laws in parts of Germany and Italy, and it even jumped across the Atlantic, becoming the foundation for the legal system in Louisiana and inspiring brand new nations all across Latin America.
So what makes this system so different from, say, the one in the US or the UK? Well, those places use common law, where judges interpret laws and look back at past court decisions. But the Napoleonic system is all about the book. The code is supposed to have all the answers, and a judge's job is just to apply the rules as they're written. It's designed to be super predictable and clear.
So, after more than 200 years, why are we still talking about this? Because the code's legacy is basically written into the DNA of modern government. Its impact is still felt every single day, in all sorts of ways we don't even realize.
You can really see its incredible journey here. It kicks off in 1804 by blowing up the old feudal system. Then in the 1800s, it spreads across the globe. By the 1900s, it's getting updated to be more modern, especially when it comes to women's rights. And today, it's still the legal bedrock for France and tons of other nations.
If you remember just one thing from all of this, let it be this. The Napoleonic Code represented a huge shift in thinking. Law wasn't just a tool to keep kings and nobles powerful anymore. For one of the first times, it was designed to protect the rights of regular citizens.
And that leaves us with a final thought. Ideas like legal equality, religious freedom, and owning your own property. They feel pretty normal to us now, right? But they had to be invented. They had to be written down. It really makes you wonder, how many parts of your life are shaped by this one single document, written over 2 centuries ago?